Hello everybody, welcome to iExamB's Legal Beat. This is Amrita, your law faculty here at iExamB. Embrace the iExamB learning experience with us. If you're preparing for any competitive examinations after your law, then you're at the right place. iExamB provides coaching for various competitive examinations like SEBI Grade A Legal Officer, RBI Grade B Legal Officer, IBPS SO Law Officer, IBPS RRB Law Officer, etc. So you can check out all the online courses available on our website www.iexamb.com. आप इन कोर्सेज के डेमो भी एक्टिवेट करके देख सकते हैं एंड यू can also reach out to us by writing us an email on hello@iexamb.com. You can also call us on this number 920-5524028. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel LegalB. LegalB is the exclusive law channel of iExamB, providing various important videos that are helpful in your preparation for examinations. Strategic as well as content providing videos are available here. Download our app for 50% faster job preparation. That will definitely help you out. I have started a series of 300 most important MCQs for SEBI Grade A Legal Officer exam preparation. This is the fifth part or the fifth video of this series. हर एक वीडियो में मैं एक set of questions discuss कर रही हूँ अलग अलग subject से. In today's video we are going to start with Indian Contract Act. I will be discussing 20 MCQs from Contract Act in this particular video. अगर आपने बाकी के वीडियोस मिस कर दिए हैं, do check it out in our playlist. First question, who are not competent to contract as per the Contract Act? Who is of sound mind? Who is of the age of majority? Who is disqualified from contracting by any law to which he is subject? All A, B and C, either B or C. So, competency of contract बहुत important topic है Contract Act से. So, the question is from that area. Correct answer is C, who is disqualified by contracting due to any law to which he is subject. Section 11 of the Indian Contract Act, which is very important section, provides for this. Disqualifications can be majority, sound mind, etc. Unsound mind, etc. Second, communication, acceptance and revocation of proposal are deemed to be made by dash, by which he intends to communicate such proposal, acceptance or revocation, or which has the effect of communicating it. अभी एक fill in the blank question है और डायरेक्टली पिक किया गया है सेक्शन से. अगर आपको प्रोविजंस अच्छे से पता है डेफिनेटली आप इसे आंसर कर सकते हैं. By looking at the options it becomes more easy. Any act or omission of the party proposing, any act or omission of the party accepting, any act and omission of the party proposing, accepting or revoking, any act or omission of the party proposing, accepting or revoking, both A and B. Correct answer is D, any act or omission of the party proposing, accepting or revoking. Section 3 of the Contract Act provides for this, communication, acceptance and revocation of proposals. The communication of a revocation is complete as against the person who makes it when it comes to his knowledge, when it is put into a course of transmission by the person who makes it, when it is put into course of transmission to the person to whom it is made, when it is put into a course of transmission to the person to whom it is made so as to be out of the power of the person to whom it is made, when it is put into a course of transmission to the person to whom it is made so as to be out of the power of the person who makes it. So communication of a revocation is complete as against the person who makes it. Be very careful that what they ask you as against the person who makes it, यहाँ पे उन्होंने specify किया है, ये देख के आंसर करना ज़रूरी है. silly mistakes नहीं होनी चाहिए. Correct answer is E. Section 4 covers this. When it is put into course of transmission to the person to whom it is made so as to be out of the power of the person who makes it, at that time it will be complete against that person. एक बार उसके पावर से वो निकल गया, that means वो कम्युनिकेशन उसके हद तक या उसके अगेंस्ट कंप्लीट हो चुका है. Which of the following is correct relating to acceptance? It must be absolute, it must be conditional, must be expressed in some usual and reasonable manner, all A, B and C, both A and C. Acceptance must be absolute as well as expressed in some usual and reasonable manner. This is what is very clear. These are the features of acceptance. Section 7 covers this. What is meant by expressed promise? When the promise is accepted in words, when the proposal of any promise is made in words, when the acceptance of any promise is made in words, when the proposal or acceptance of any promise is made in words, when the proposal and acceptance of any promise is made in words. So the options are quite similar to each other. Some small changes are there in the options. Correct answer is D, when the proposal or acceptance of any promise is made in words. That is what is known as expressed promise. All agreements are not contract if it is expressly declared to be void, made by the free consent of parties, made by the parties competent to contract, made for lawful consideration and with a lawful object. All A, B, C and D, means all of the above are correct. All agreements are not contract if. Correct answer is only A, expressly declared to be void. Section 10, what agreements are contracts? All agreements are contracts if they are made by free consent, and all these features are correct. Only one thing is not correct, that is expressly declared to be void. So all agreements are not contracts, they have asked over here. यहाँ पे उन्होंने not को introduce करके इसको negative कर दिया है, यानी कि कौन से agreements contracts नहीं हैं. So all agreements are not contracts if it is declared to be void expressly. A person is said to be of sound mind for the purpose of making a contract if at the time when he makes it, he is not capable of understanding it and of forming a rational judgment as to its effect upon his interests. Again, here there are some changes in the options. He is capable of understanding and forming a rational judgment. He is not capable of understanding and of forming a rational judgment as to its effect upon others' interests. Both A and C, either A, B or C. Correct answer is B. A person is said to be of sound mind if he is capable of understanding it and of forming a rational judgment as to its effect upon his interests. Obviously, he will be talking about or thinking about his interests only, not others. Section 12 talks about it. Two or more persons are said to consent when there is no consensus ad idem, when they agree upon the same thing in the same sense, when they do not agree upon the same thing in the same sense, when all of them agree upon the same thing not in the same sense, when consent is not caused or influenced by coercion, undue influence, etc. Very, very common point is covered over here from Contract Act. This principle should be known by everybody. Consensus ad idem. What does that mean actually? Answer is B over here. Correct answer is B because they have added no before consensus ad idem in option A. Consent defined in section 13 talks about it. Two or more persons are said to consent when they agree upon the same thing in the same sense. इसको ही हम consensus ad idem कहते हैं. Consent is said to be free when it is not caused by influence, advantage, misstatement, coercion. All of the above are correct. So it is said to be free when it is not caused by, correct is D, coercion. Free consent is said to be free when it is not caused by coercion. That is covered over here in section 14. What is meant by coercion as defined under section 15 of the Contract Act? Committing any act forbidden by Indian Penal Code, threatening to commit any act forbidden by Indian Penal Code, unlawfully detaining any property to the prejudice of any person, whatever, with the intention of causing any person to enter into an agreement, threatening to detain any property to the prejudice of any person, whatever, with the intention of causing any person to enter into an agreement. All of the above are correct. So what is meant by coercion, and that is covered under section 15 of the Contract Act? What is the meaning of it actually? They have covered some essentials or the options. So the correct answer is E, because as per section 15 all of these have been covered here in the options A, B, C, D. When consent to an agreement is caused by undue influence, agreement is a contract which is illegal, which is void, which is voidable at the option of the party whose consent was so caused, which is voidable at the option of the party whose consent was not so caused. Correct answer is D, which is voidable at the option of the party whose consent was so caused. Section 19, power to set aside contract induced by undue influence. When consent to an agreement is caused by undue influence, the agreement is a contract voidable at the option of the party whose consent was so caused. So यहाँ से directly उस क्वेश्चन को पिक किया है और सेक्शन से डायरेक्टली उस क्वेश्चन को फ्रेम किया गया है. Where both the parties to an agreement are under a mistake as to a matter of fact essential to the agreement, the agreement is void, illegal, valid, voidable, contingent. So where both the parties to an agreement are under a mistake as to a matter of fact essential to the agreement is void, obviously, because that fact is essential to the agreement. Section 20 covers this agreement void where both parties are under mistake as to matter of fact. Every agreement of which the object or consideration is unlawful is void, not void, voidable, contingent, not voidable. Correct answer is A, void. Section 23, what considerations and objects are lawful and what are not. When is the object or consideration of an agreement is unlawful, fraudulent, forbidden by law, does not involve or imply injury to the person or property of another, all A, B and C, either A or B. So when is the object or consideration of an agreement unlawful? Correct answer is E, either A or B are correct. Section 21, effect of mistakes as to law, covers this particular area. Every agreement in restraint of marriage of any person is void, is illegal, is voidable. Other than a minor, if it is, then it is void. Including a minor, it is void. So when there is an agreement in restraint of marriage, then that correct answer is D, because that is other than a minor. If it is of a minor, then definitely that is not unlawful, because marriage of minor is not lawful. So agreement in restraint of marriage is void. Section 26 covers that. As per definition of undue influence under the Contract Act, a person is deemed to be in a position to dominate the will of another, where he holds a real and apparent authority over the other, where he stands in a fiduciary relationship to the other, where he makes a contract with a person whose mental capacity is temporarily or permanently affected by reason of age, illness, or mental or bodily distress, either A or B or C, either B or C. So undue influence, this concept is also important from Contract Act. Consent, contract, nature of contract, essential elements, undue influence, ये सारी चीज़ें कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एक्ट से काफ़ी इंपॉर्टेंट है. यहाँ प्रपोजल एक्सेप्टेंस, तो यहाँ से क्वेश्चंस कभी कभी ट्विस्ट भी किए जाते हैं. बी वेल प्रिपेयर्ड विद दीज एरियाज. Correct answer is E. Section 16, undue influence is defined in that. Clause 2 talks about in particular and without prejudice to the generality of the foregoing principle, a person is deemed to be in a position to dominate the will of another, where he holds a real or apparent authority over the other, stands in a fiduciary relationship to the other, or where he makes a contract with a person whose mental capacity is temporarily or permanently affected by reason of age, illness, mental or bodily distress. So the correct answer is either B or C. Or will be there over here. Why we need or over here? Because they have given or in the section itself, where he holds a real or apparent authority over the other, or where he stands in a fiduciary relation to the other. Both of them have been given here. Or where he makes a contract with a person whose mental capacity is temporarily or permanently affected by reason of age, illness, or mental or bodily distress. So all of these options have been covered over here under section 16, undue influence, that has been defined. So the correct answer over here will be either A or B or C. So the correct answer over here has to be option D and not option E, because A is talking about where he holds a real and apparent authority over the other, where he stands in fiduciary relation with the other, where he makes a contract with a person whose mental capacity is temporary or permanently affected by reason of age, illness. So all these three options will be correct over here. There is a shift, actually correct answer will be D. So this is a technical error due to mistyping, misprint. So you please consider this, that the correct answer will be A or B or C over here. Where a person who is in a position to dominate the will of another enters into a contract with him, and the transaction appears on the face of it or on the evidence adduced to be unconscionable, the burden of proving that such contract was not induced by undue influence shall lie upon person in a position to be dominated by the other, person in the position to dominate the will of the other, any person who has apprehension of another person being dominated, either A, B or C. Both A and B are correct. So when a person is in a position to dominate the will, ये वही concept है, उसको आगे अलग तरीके से कुछ question पूछा है यहाँ पे. He is entering into a contract with that person. Transaction appears on the face of it or on the evidence adduced to be unconscionable. The burden of proving that such contract was not induced by undue influence, that burden shall lie upon whom? Section 16, again undue influence, clause 3 we will refer here, where a person who is in a position to dominate the will of another, if he is entering into contract, transaction appears, same thing is there. The burden of proving that such contract was not induced by undue influence shall lie upon the person in a position to dominate the will of the other. So the person who is in the dominating position, on that person the burden of proof will be lying. So section 16 covers this, and the correct answer is B. Person is in the position to dominate the will of the other. Not dominated by, but the one who is going to dominate the will of other. What does misrepresentation mean as laid down under the Contract Act? Positive assertion in a manner not warranted by the information of the person making it of that which is not true, though he believes it to be true. Any breach of duty which without an intent to deceive gains an advantage to the person committing it, or anyone claiming under him, by misleading another to his prejudice or to the prejudice of anyone claiming under him, causing however innocently a party to an agreement to make a mistake as to the substance of the thing which is the subject of the agreement. All A, B and C, all of them are correct. Both A and C are correct. So misrepresentation का actual correct meaning क्या है, Contract Act से पूछा गया है. Section 18 talks about misrepresentation, and all of these are correctly talking about misrepresentation. So the correct option is D, all A, B and C. Contingent contract is a contract to do or not to do something if some event collateral to such contract does happen, does not happen, shall not happen, may not happen, either A or B. Contingent contracts are very important concepts again. Correct answer is E, either A or B. Does happen or does not happen. Do or not to do something if some event collateral to such contract does or does not happen. Clear. ऑप्शंस देख के थोड़ा कंफ्यूजन हो सकता है, बट अगर आपको कंसेप्चुअल क्लैरिटी है कंफ्यूजन नहीं होगा. लास्ट क्वेश्चन फॉर टुडे. अ पार्टी कैन क्लेम compensation for any loss or damage caused to him by breach of contract which naturally arose in the usual course of things, is remote but resulted in damage being sustained by the party. Parties knew when they made the contract to be likely to result from breach, either A or B or C, either A or C. So in this case, a party can claim compensation for any loss or damage that is caused to him by breach of contract, which, correct answer is, naturally arose in the usual course of things, or parties knew when they made the contract to be likely to result from a breach. So in these two cases, this may happen. So the correct answer is E over here. Compensation for loss or damage caused by breach of contract, when a section 73 covers this. When a contract has been broken, the party who suffers by such breach is entitled to receive from the party who has broken the contract compensation for the loss or damage, if that has naturally arisen in the usual course of things, or which the parties knew when they made the contract to be likely to result from the breach. So these two conditions are correct. Such compensation is not to be given for any remote and indirect loss or damage sustained by reason of the breach. So if that is remote or it is resulting in damage sustained by the party which is remote in nature, then for that compensation is not to be granted. This is very much clear under the section itself. So the correct option is E. Either A or C, both of them are correct. I hope all these questions are helping you out in preparing for your examinations. Prepare 50% faster with us at iExamBee. कोई भी queries हो, you can reach out to us. We will definitely try to help you as soon as possible. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel LegalBee. Download our app from the Google Play Store and check out all the course features available on our app as well. We have the full course access on our app. It is also available in the offline mode. Thank you everybody. Have a nice day.